Dune 2 isn't an original story. It borrows from Macbeth, Lord of the Rings, and the most famous story ever told, the Bible. But somehow, it's still the best sci-fi movie since Blade Runner 2049. How does Dune make something so unique out of stolen ideas?
Well, I'd very much like to be equal to you.
Dune's story is religious. Timothée Chalamet's character, Paul, is destined to lead his people to paradise. He's the Messiah, and when you're talking messiahs, it's hard to ignore Jesus. Jesus and Paul have a lot in common. They both see themselves as one of the people, despite their influence. They care more about the world's well-being than their own. Most importantly, their people have faith in them. Dune takes a lot from the story of Jesus, but there are major differences. A key one is that Paul has real flaws. By making Paul three-dimensional, Dune reinvents the New Testament in a darker and more relatable way. It asks, what if Jesus hadn't been the Son of God and was just a person instead? It may borrow from the Bible, but it rethinks those ideas to make something new.
And know that I will be with you, always.
Dune also shares a lot with Shakespeare's Macbeth. Macbeth is a man who's told he'll become King of Scotland by 3 witches. Once he learns the prophecy, his mom does everything she can to make it come true. Just like Macbeth, there's a prophecy in Dune that says Paul will be the savior and leader of Arrakis. And just like Macbeth's mom, Paul's mom tries to make sure that that prophecy is fulfilled. But again, there are important differences between Macbeth and Paul. Macbeth is straightforward, but Dune 2 does a good job keeping Paul ambiguous. Does he want power, or is he just playing the part to inspire everyone else? Dune takes the most famous stories in our culture and finds ways to improve them. But even more important than the story itself is the world it's happening in.
I only have one requirement. Income.
When it comes to world building, the devil is in the details. The cantina scene from Star Wars is so famous because of the incredible detail in the setting. Every character has unique features that make you want to know more about them. The cantina itself is a cave that combines the past and future in its design. The details all add up to a world we can imagine stepping into. Dune accomplishes the same thing. No moment is more immersive than the Fremen taking down the Harkonnen spice harvester. The Harkonnens oppress the Fremen by stealing their most valuable resource, spice. To fight back, the Fremen raid the harvesters and destroy them. There's infinite ways to make an action scene like this, but to be effective, you have to get the details right. Dune does an amazing job of walking us through exactly how and where the action takes place. The rebels jump out of the sand, disarm the guards, take cover under the harvester, and detonate the helicopter. Every step is so detailed that it feels like you're in the world with the characters, fighting behind them. If you like this kind of video, make sure to subscribe. I'll be posting every week, and it really helps me out. Thanks. The best worlds aren't just detailed, they're imaginative. Harry Potter's universe is iconic because of the talking paintings, and Diagon Alley, and Dumbledore's office. Every part of the world has layered ideas that come together perfectly. Dune manages the same thing. The Baron spends most of his time soaking in black goo, and instead of walking, he just floats around. The Fremen people aren't just able to summon massive sandworms, they can ride them. The Harkonnen ships and weapons are so visually detailed that it's like you could reach out and touch them. The world of Dune might not reach Harry Potter levels, but it's the most creative we've seen in years.
Listen, Al-Gaib. Voice from the outer world. It's their name for Messiah.
Even with a great world and story, there's another piece you need: characters. Dune's characters aren't as interesting as the world they're in, but the cast is unbelievable. Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya have great chemistry. Javier Bardem and Austin Butler stole the show. Even Florence Pugh and Christopher Walken fit pretty perfectly. This many amazing actors in one movie reminded me of Oppenheimer, but Dune 2 actually does a better job managing such a stacked cast. There were times in Oppenheimer when characters would appear for a couple scenes and serve a specific purpose, but that's it. They kind of felt like cameos in a Marvel movie. In Dune 2, every time a new A-list actor is introduced, they're a real, fleshed out character. They're not always an interesting character, but they never feel like just a plot device, and the performances are special.
But Arrakis is Arrakis. And the desert takes the weak.
Denis Villeneuve directed Dune 2, and if you don't know, he's on a historic run. In 2013, he put out Prisoners, which was an original thriller that launched him to a new level. From there, he's put out 6 straight movies that people love: Enemy, Sicario, Arrival, Blade Runner 2049, and both Dune movies. It's not just that these are all great movies, but they're all so different too. There's a border police thriller, a language-based sci-fi, a mystery, and an iconic sci-fi sequel. Even great directors like Quentin Tarantino usually have more limits than that. Tarantino might have the best directing career ever, but his movies mostly feel the same. He's legendary in very specific ways. It seems like Denis can kind of do anything, and it works. Another director like that is David Fincher. Fincher loves thrillers, but his movies feel very different from each other. It's shocking that the same guy made Gone Girl and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Denis isn't the only one who's hot right now. Almost everything Timothée Chalamet touches turns to gold. Since 2014, he's been in Interstellar, Call Me By Your Name, Lady Bird, Little Women, Wonka, both Dunes, and even Call of Duty.
May thy knife chip and shatter.
In the past 10 years, there's been a narrative that Hollywood isn't creating stars like it used to, or at least those stars can't drive sales like they used to. Dune 2 flipped that idea on its head by featuring 4 of the brightest young stars in Hollywood: Timothy, Zendaya, Austin Butler, and Florence Pugh. Zendaya's talent and star power almost go without saying at this point. Since Euphoria, she's been maybe the most prominent actress, other than Emma Stone. Florence Pugh is popping up everywhere, and even though her part in Oppenheimer was poorly written, she's great in Midsommar and Little Women. Austin Butler is the newest name on this list. He has a presence that's hard to describe. In Dune 2, he proved that he has real range, and may have given the best performance of the movie.
Or even
No movie is perfect, and Dune has its share of flaws. There are moments in the plot that feel unclear. Bigger spoilers here, but at the end of the story, Paul offers to marry Florence Pugh's character, Irulan, with hopes of being accepted as the new leader by the rest of the universe. But ultimately, they reject him as a leader. So why did Paul have to follow through with the marriage? Why couldn't he have just called it off and gone back to Zendaya's character, Chani? That tension felt forced, or at least confusing. It was also confusing what exactly the Water of Life does. It gives you special abilities to see future outcomes, but that doesn't help me understand why Paul changes his whole outlook after drinking it. From my perspective, his character changes completely and out of nowhere because of a drink that isn't really explained clearly. Despite its few flaws, Dune 2 is the best executed blockbuster of the year, and it probably won't get passed up. There's so much imagination and character bubbling out of its world, and the story feels new despite taking from classics. We're lucky to have Denis Villeneuve and this cast together. It may be a while until we get sci-fi this good again. Thanks so much for watching, and if you liked the video, make sure to subscribe. It really does help me out, so thanks again if you do. Also, let me know what you thought of Dune in the comments. Do you think it lives up to the hype? Next video will be out in a week. I'll see you soon.